Hello friends, welcome. This is the Womb Goddess. My name is Susanna Sun, bringing through messages today of peace, love, and joy for the divine collective of beings who would like to receive messages for the highest good of all. Today we are tapping into a very specific love message that has been coming through and wanting, requesting me to share this message with you. It does seem like a sort of story, and I believe it is a new timeline that has just recently opened up and is currently opening with the eclipses that are coming up. And so this new timeline in terms of divine love will be specifically helpful for people who feel themselves in the twin flame, the soulmate, or divine love union, whether you're in that currently or you're wanting that, you're yearning for that, you are interested in that. All of those will be relevant today as we step into this new timeline together. So a lot of this type of work is collective work. Whenever we're talking about karma, actually, we're talking about collective work because it's never just about one person. It's about the ancestral lineage that was passed to you and the karma that was passed to you in that way, and also through your own personal lineage, maybe with your past lives. So we are looking at this collective energy, and because it is collective, a lot of us are going through the same things at the same times, or in kind of waves, right? So maybe like something that I went through, you might be going through in the future, which leads me to remind you that if you catch this reading in the recording, then you will still be experiencing those energies. It's just that maybe you'll be experiencing a wave of it afterwards. The first card that I have come out as just a general information to give us a little bit of an update is the Nine of Cups. I love this for an introduction for us because the Nine of Cups is this very abundant energy, and I have been seeing this card specifically coming up for the masculines lately. So this is the masculine within us as women, and it's also the external reflection of the masculine in the world, that we might have another person in that body of the masculine. But either way, that part of ourselves is currently coming up as one of the most dominant parts of our energy. This very, it's like counting our accomplishments. It's like looking at what we've been through and who we are and what we've gone out to achieve and what we've stayed in to achieve, and counting all of those, counting our blessings, right? And the thing about counting blessings is that whenever you are in a state of gratitude is one of the strongest energies on our planet. And so when you're in a state of gratitude, it acts as a magnet to other energies that are also going to bring you a feeling of gratitude. So that energy of counting our cups and looking at how far we've come and really acknowledging that for ourselves is just so healing, and it changes our magnetic frequency so that we're able to attract more of that. So I love that as an introduction to this reading. I'm going to get, okay, so first I have an energy between us, and then I'm going to get both a masculine and a feminine update. But between us, we have some challenge right now, right? And this is part of the rebirth story. This is part of our becoming, and it's not a static energy. So it doesn't stay the same. It's just a stepping stone. So we can know where we're at by reading that, right? So this is where we are currently at, starting with this indecision, this uncertainty, this doubt, this lack of clarity in our minds and in our communication. So one of the ways that this can show up is changing our minds, right? And also communicating in ways that are not clear, so that people aren't necessarily fully able to understand us. And it's like, no, that's not what I really meant, right? And then they're like, oh, you changed your mind. So that's kind of what that looks like when we're in a challenge position to the Two of Swords. It's this very awkward place to be when you're actually in it yourself, because it feels like uncertainty. And that uncertainty is, of course, often going to bring about a sort of emotional and psychological tension that, it's just a little uncomfortable. So then we also have this, which the 9 we just had in the cups, but we have it in the pentacles as well, reversed this time. So where in our hearts, maybe our emotions, we're counting our blessings, right? We're like, okay, this is how far I've come here and here and here, and I'm proud of myself here and there. And then when it comes to the pentacles, which is the earth, this is our money, our home, our body, our relationship, what we're eating, how we're working with our body or not, then we're in a challenge. And it's like, I can count my blessings when it comes to my heart, but when it comes to my body and my money and my home, I don't know, right? So that's kind of what that feels like. And another way to perceive this, if you don't quite relate to that version of it, is that there is more available that we aren't accessing yet. So even if you feel like you already have these things figured out, maybe you are already stable in the financial or in the housing or in the, physical realm in general, then this card would mean that there's more coming that you are not currently available to. So there is some resistance to your next level, and this is about our nervous systems regulating to be able to hold that much pleasure, that much security, that much money, that much luxury in our lives. If our nervous systems are attuned to abusive, challenging, lack, starvation type of mentalities, then we'll feel normal in that type of situation. If our nervous systems are attuned to abundance and always having more than enough and being deeply supported, and we hold that story knowing that it's true and that we deserve it, then that's what we'll experience. So this in reverse lets me know that there is more of that luxury available that we're not currently accessing. And even if your nervous system is matched to, like, in terms of money, say you feel comfortable with having $200 in your bank account at all times and never going below that number, even when you're spending, then that's what's normal to you. And that will be your cap, right? So you need to stretch yourself to be able to hold 400. But then somebody else could have the same problem with a different number. So they could have already done some work and be at the point where they feel comfortable with $2,000 in their bank account, and that feels normal to their nervous system, but they want to get to have $4,000, and that's where their cap is currently at, right? So either way, whether it's 200 or 2,000, these people are actually in the same spot of having met their cap of what their nervous system and their belief system believes is possible for them. Okay, so that was what's between us. Now I'm going for one card for the masculine and one card for the feminine. Actually, I got 2 for the masculine. So again, remember that when we're talking about divine counterparts, especially if you're on the twin flame journey, when we're talking about the divine masculine, we're not necessarily talking about a person. We are sometimes talking about our own internal energies. And yes, our internal energies will have an external mirror and reflection. So that's why we talk about it that way. This is the divine union within, and there is an external representation of that, but it starts and ends within. It's an internal process, okay? So the masculine within us and in the reflection of the person, if we have one, starts with the Ace of Pentacles and then follows up with the Hanged Man. So I am feeling, and again, this is a love message, right? I am feeling this as an offering. This is coming through from the masculine to the feminine in terms of this is what we're going to build together. And here's the introduction of that. Here's our first step. Here's the gift that proves that I am willing to support you, that I am willing to offer you my energy, my money, my home to you for your support. And it does seem to kind of come out of nowhere. So let me know if you guys relate to that one. Have you been feeling that coming through either from yourself, your own masculine energy, or from others? Now, the other piece about the masculine is this Hanged Man often comes up in terms of the masculine for this collective, the love collective. And it does have a few different pieces to it. One is, sometimes we're talking about men who are emotionally unavailable, or maybe men who are emotionally stunted, as in they had trauma in their childhood that they never healed. And so part of them is still living in this child or adolescent version of themselves. So it can kind of show up as this Peter Pan type of situation. So a lot of people will relate to this in terms of karma, right? And in terms of, again, women overextending themselves to care for somebody who doesn't care for themselves, that kind of feeling, and it really drains the feminine. So that is one of the biggest challenges that the masculine has to go through, is basically like growing up, becoming this version of ourselves that is really steady and stable and secure. And so when we are out in the world and we're going about, we feel safe. We feel that we have everything that we need, especially in terms of these, practical finances, housing, food, physical body, health, right? That's that. So the masculine parts of ourselves and our external masculine really bringing that in, showing the intention, like, here, I'm going to show this to you. I'm going to show this to you. Like, this is Peter Pan coming back down to earth, right? And it's like an ego death. Like, I get it. I surrender. Like, I see where I have been my own enemy. I see where my lack of maturity has been causing my own problems. I see where I've been blaming other people, and now I'm going to take personal responsibility for that instead. So that is a huge healing from the masculine and provides a lot of this very practical support for the feminine. Now, the feminine comes up as the King of Swords reversed. I did already mention this energy, so I'm not surprised that it shows up like this. A couple different details. One, you're coming up as a masculine archetype. That's definitely an imbalance in the feminine and the masculine polarity for the divine feminines. So the divine feminines, this is your card. We're letting you know, and myself included, that we're a little bit imbalanced. We're a little bit more in our masculine than our feminine right now, and it is in a challenge position. So in terms of love message, this is definitely like, oh gosh, it's so intense. It's like admitting to ourselves, to our communities, and to our partner, to our masculine, I'm not okay. I have some things that are going on right now that I really need support with. I am out of balance with myself. I've been overextending myself in this attempt to find security that I'm looking for, and it's not working. And with that sword, that's a specific energy about it being in the mental space, in the communication as well. And this imbalance within ourselves came about as a protection mechanism, right? And so now we're saying, I get it. I see it. I understand that I arrived as the feminine of this experience in a masculine role instead of a feminine role. And I'm going to admit that that's not accurate to who I really am. And so when we really give ourselves permission to do this, to admit this type of thing and to say, you know what, I do want something different. I do want to be supported. I believe that I deserve to be supported and that it's safe and healthy for me to be supported, right? And we're inviting that masculine energy to come into our lives and to nourish us so that we can also reciprocate that energy without draining ourselves. This is part of the foundation of divine union. So for people who are wanting to step into these love stories, internally and externally, we have to come into right balance with ourselves and with the other people. And if we are in this overworking phase of trying to force ourselves into healing, trying to force ourselves into success, then we end up with this burnout, we end up with resentment, we end up being single much longer than we want to be. These very hyper independent roles start coming out for women, and that's not necessarily accurate to who we want to be. It's more accurate to how we think that we have to be based on the trauma that we've experienced. So we are balancing that back out, but we're realizing right now, like, oh, we are out of balance. I've been overgiving, I've been overextending myself. Time to reel it in, time to pull that energy back to ourselves, time to pour that love that we've been trying to take and put out, pour it back in, right? And then allow that masculine to arrive to give more, to add more. And then we get an overflow. And that overflow in the heart center, that is what the masculine wants to receive as the reciprocation for his offerings as well. Okay. What a beautiful love message. Let me know if you relate to these stories or if you're interested in these stories that are coming up for us. Again, this is a new timeline that is currently coming up for us to choose if you want to. And it is a collective timeline, meaning that many of us are going to be choosing this timeline coming up. It will be implementing itself and sorting itself out through the eclipse season and then incubating throughout the 6 months afterwards into March, April, May, when we'll have an actual real change of the story and we'll fully step into the new reality. So that's the big term story, and stay tuned. Make sure you're following and subscribing and checking out my messages, because I will keep updating the energies and letting you know, okay, here's the next step, here's the next step. Right now, all we have to do is focus on allowing ourselves back into the feminine. Instead of trying to do more in order to find relief, we're going to do less, and we're going to pour that energy back into ourselves. And that is how we're going to balance ourselves out. That is how we're going to become magnetic to our masculines, so that we can have the divine union in 6 months max, right? Timeline. All right, beautiful. Friends, if you want to tap into these energies personally, I would love to support you. I do have availability coming up. You can just find my links anywhere here, and then I will open up the energy readings, which will be an introduction to working with me, but I will read your energies at that point, and I will let you know any big blind spots or like that cap that we were talking about, where you're maybe limited by conditioning or by old belief systems that aren't accurate to you. And so we'll call those things out, the blind spots, the caps, and we'll break through those so that you're able to become more the version of yourself that you want to become. So that is my intro energy reading. I would love to offer that to you. I do have a couple of spots available this coming weekend, and also for the next 2 weeks, I believe. So I'm going to be opening up my calendar that way. If you don't see the link in my links, then just send me a personal message. Make sure you find the right person, because there are people who are impersonating me and trying to sell readings. It is a scam, so make sure you're getting the right person. You can do that by, you got me live here. That's one way to do it. You'll also look for my proper hashtag or my handle. So it's the Womb Goddess, and that's on TikTok and YouTube and Facebook. And then on Instagram, it's the Womb Goddess with an IS at the end there. So that's the Instagram. Any other accounts are not mine. Please do not respond to them. Please report them. And yeah, that's how it goes. I love you guys. Have a beautiful day.